Hi, my name is Eduardo Ramirez. I am a Colombian cinematographer and I am based in Los Angeles, California. I shoot mostly commercials and feature films. I like to do car commercials, toys commercials, and beauty in general, like a beauty commercials. Okay, the piece I'm gonna be breaking down today is the commercial for Hyundai, IONIQ 5 2022 campaign. This project is about this cool uncle who have a great vehicle. The script basically is kind of like a fun afternoon with the uncle. So the guy go pick up the kid in the school and we see this cool kid who like to take care of the planet. So it's a very specific campaign about how we take care of our planet and how we raise kids thinking about that. The most important for the director, the producers, and I guess the brand itself was inclusion. From the behind of the camera and in front of the camera, we want to have African American crew and African American cast as much as we can. He went through to a very good friend of me, a producer. She called me and said like, hey, we are building this team to do this really cool car commercial. She said, you are the proper DP for this, the way you work with cars. And it's the first time like Hyundai is using a full African-American cast. I shot a movie last year where all my cast was literally 99% African-American people. And I work intense in the skin tones. I work really intense and how we can pull out and give everyone the real color. Right away, I built a book, color book or deck book or cinematographer book idea. I put like interior ideas, exterior ideas, car shot ideas, and then I sent it to the director. She liked it, so then I start putting all like artistic ideas with the technological ideas. What brand we're gonna use, what camera we're gonna use, what lenses I'm gonna use. You know, when we talk about color and resolution and sampling and skin tones, I like to be as much close to the organic sensor I can find in the digital cameras. For me, that means ARRI. So I ended up picking the ARRI Mini LF. I said, okay, I'm gonna shoot with a set of lenses that I never worked before. So I'm gonna shoot with the camera I work most. I own a camera as well. I own that camera itself. So for me, it's just come with my best friend, put it on set and okay, let's do this together, right? I mean, I knew it from the beginning when they green-light me as a cinematographer for the commercial that was a very new product for the brand. And I was like, okay, I mean, this is kind of like the newest stuff of the brand, so let's bring something new for the brand as well. Let's shoot an Anamorphic. But it's a thing on the brands when we talk about TVs. You're taking away 40% of the total 100% screen on a TV. Worse if you watch the commercial in a computer. Even worse if you watch in a cell phone. So they go by that. They go like, oh, the audience in United States only, let's say 40% have 16:9 TVs, and some people that stay in the houses with a square TV, you know, like things like that can show up in a meeting. And I fight it back, you know, I say, okay, you know, but this brand who is using Anamorphic from 2 years back now, this other brand called with new commercials in Anamorphic. So they go, oh, the other brands are using already Anamorphic, so let's talk more about it, you know. The first time I saw Atlas, I remember I was in 2016, Cinegear, and was a really hyper booth. Everybody was just jumping there. When this job come up and we get approved for the Anamorphic, and I started selling the idea of the Anamorphic, I think in the Atlas Orion. Then I went to the website and I found the silver edition. Literally, I said, okay, wait, what is this? I never read before, I never see it before. And I say, okay, I really like the idea of bringing on the table lenses who are so close to 1970s and 1950s, that era, and having that texture, because it's not even about the flare, it's not even about the bokeh, it's the texture, you know? Texture meaning for me, the spaces between glass, how the focus fall, the amount of grain shooting 5.6 or shooting T8. So when I see these lenses come flare with the light you use, it blew me out. I go, oh man, this is something, you know, this is something really intelligent because they get away from the blue reference and just bring something very neutral with a crazy flare abilities. We use the 32 to the 100 in the Anamorphic line, silver edition. Every time the car was portraying the commercial was the 32. The 50 and the 40 for the persons. Beautiful lenses, you know, like I use a lot the 40 in all the exterior cars. I use the 50 a lot to go closer with the character. I use the 100 a couple times to get like a beautiful bokehs, faraway shots, and yeah, I mean, I went through all the glass, to be honest. From the 32 to the 100, I used all the lenses. The location of this commercial was everything in Los Angeles. We shoot 85% of the commercial in Sherman Oaks area, and the other percent of the commercial we shoot it in downtown LA. We didn't want to know this is LA. You know, we want LA lighting, but we don't want to be this marked as a LA commercial. This can be Cincinnati, this can be Chicago, this can be everywhere in the United States. Shooting schedule in this job was tight. It's always tight. We was shooting 2 days, 10 hours per day. Was a union job. I have a thing. I always like to mix my crew. I like to have people from everywhere. I like to have every kind of race I can find and put in a crew. I love it because I love diversity. You know, I'm a Colombian, so I'm a Latino, and I would like to support my people. I like to support Latinos. I like to support Black people. I like to support Chinese people. I always learn from different people that I can bring on my crew. This is the first shot I picked to talk a little bit. Why? Because it's our product. Of course, I'm shooting people. Of course, I'm shooting the city, but I get hired to shoot this car. The sun was over this part over here a little bit, right? Where you see the shadow down here, you see how the sun was pointing to the car. We was scouting the location. I request to be shoot between 2 to 3 because that's sun position. I was around T11. I was shooting with a 45-degree shutter angle. So even this is still pretty sharp for me going 50 miles per hour. For me, it's important to be very sharp in all my product. It's what you're selling, it's what you're helping the brand to sell, and it's why they hire you. You don't want to have a car which just in focus here, because when people don't know and they get hired to shoot cars and never do it, oh my God, they go like, oh, let's do 2.8, it's so cool, you know, like I'm a HJDP, so the damn car is just focused in the front, and then the rest is out of focus. Your client is gonna be mad, they're gonna reshoot it. The other part of the breakdown is how important was this, the H. That's the branding, you know, that's what the product is worldwide. So when I knew it from the beginning, when I put my flashlight in the camera test and I put the lens in 11, I see how that flare opened like a star. I go T11 to don't get any other flare, just the branding flare. The reproduction of the lighting here and here is completely neutral. Because I have my exposure pretty high, I didn't get any crazy flare with the lenses, but my color in the small amount of flare who look more like a glow in this case, is perfect. I picked this scene for the main reason we picked the lenses, and it's the flare. This is how I call it, a present from God. I'm not a true believer, I don't believe too much, but I just call it like that because I like it. Like when you're connected with a job, I feel when you're connected with your team and you're doing right stuff in right moments, in right positions, sometimes you get present from the divine energy, if we want to call it like that, you know? So this was that present. And in the end, it's not a present because you set it up for a reason, because you feel something inside that this shot need to be shot at that time of the day. We get this beautiful flare, this beautiful sunlight reflection that is just for a second in the commercial, but it creates like a magical moment for the brand. They love it, they pick it right away when they saw it on the camera. And then we can see how well the lenses behave. So you have this sun reproduction when you have the star form, right? And then you have this flare with that perfect straight line. You don't have any 2 degrees or 3 degrees, no, it's completely straight. And even now in the center, you have this, and then you have this, and you have these little emotions. Is the lens breathing, is the lens emotion that's drawing to the screen, you know, it's very organic. So it makes it beautiful. This shot was shot with the 80, around 5.6. I didn't want to have the kid full in exposure when the ankle was talking. That's the reason it's a little soft, but you still understand who is in the back. And we have a beautiful rack focus back and forth in this scene. For sure, was very important to have the backgrounds on the windows out of focus. We were shooting this over a production trailer for car commercials. Then the other interesting part in this is how we reproduce these tones and how we reproduce these tones in the skin tone. I want to have a little bit difference between the ankle and the kid. I don't want to have them the same color. The ankle is a little cooler than the kid is warmer. The ankle have a nice contrast going on over here, and that was, we block all this side of the car with a black duvatin. The roof of the car is glass, but it was a really tinted and green glass. So the sky panels need to be almost touching the glass and need to be corrected completely to don't pass through green light. So that's the reason even the ankle is a little magenta. The undertone of this guy was more magenta than the undertone of the kid. The undertone of the kid was more orangey. When you're working with undertones, you really need to know what kind of light are you using as a key and what kind of color are you putting in that lamp. So that's the reason we use for him a CTB straw in the back to pop that undertone and that create the chain on the skin tone. This was shot completely dark. We was already at night when we was shooting this scene. Still, I was having my lens maybe in T4 on the exposure, and this was shot with the 40 millimeters. And I have a beautiful skin tone on the kit, focus, completed ear to eye. So we have our main talent, complete cover. And then we have the ankle who understand completely still the ankle. And then we have these three back there. I mean, I don't know you, but I'm still seeing daylight here, and that was part of selling the idea. This flare sell that I still getting daylight through my roof. That helped a lot to sell with still daylight. The controlled shadow of the kit, not going farther than a couple inches from the ear. This reflection here in the tree, we sell daylight with that. And of course, a little lighting back there in the window. This flare was pulled with the flashlight of my cell phone just in front of the lens, operating the camera with one hand and the other hand in the matte box, just putting the flare with a tiny piece of light of my cell phone. I studied journalist, camera operator in Colombia. Then I did my first special degree in cinematography in Cuba. So when you go to study in Cuba, they don't have nothing over there. They're gonna give you a lamp and a flashlight sometimes to do a movie. So you start getting these small things. Then I went to Europe when I learned other techniques. And then in the end, I ended many times building my own lighting when I'm shooting movies, because it's part of my brand. You know, it's part of my brand as cinematographer. It's bring something spicy, something different. Just don't go by the book. So this one of those with the cell phone. You know, it's like, what's the cell phone in this case? It's my best advice. You know, do your homework, do your research, use Atlas, of course. For me, it's very important, again, the inclusion. Man, sometimes you get doors closed because you don't look like that, you don't art like that, you know? Being a filmmaker, being a cinematographer is a big way to open doors, you know? And that's why I always come and say, like, you know, if you work hard, if you do your homework and you know, and you learn small stuff from every job, you're gonna succeed, you know? And you're gonna succeed as a person first. I think that's very important. And then as professional in whatever you do, you know, from the camera department to the lighting department, as a director or whatever, but just do your things right. That's kind of like my idea always.